Schönen guten Abend.
Good evening. I would like to warmly welcome you here to this year's awarding of the Obermayer Award here at the Red City Hall here in Berlin. I would like to welcome all winners of this award, the members and the jury, the members of the Obermayer family, of course, and I would like to welcome not only the people present here in the Red City Hall, but also everybody who is watching us via the live stream. I'm Shelly Kupferberg, freelance journalist, moderator, and I'm very happy that I'm able to lead you through tonight's ceremony. And I am also very happy that I can work together with very experienced colleagues, our interpreters, Dorothee Schächter and Parisa Parsa. So thank you to our interpreters.
Ja, liebes Publikum, mit den
ladies and gentlemen, the Obermayer Award is given to people and organizations in Germany who work for keeping alive the awareness for Jewish history and the topic of group-focused enmity, and who work to fighting prejudice and racism and anti-Semitism. And they do this in a very diverse way, and that is what is so fascinating during these ceremonies, these award ceremonies like this, to see that there are so many people who have been working in this field for such a long time without the intention of ever receiving an award for that. And we want to give them this award today to show them that there is support for them. I'm also very happy that we have the governing mayor of Berlin among us in his official office here, and I'm also very happy that we have the president of the Berlin Parliament, Cornelia Seibeld, among us, and I would like to ask both of them to join me here on this stage. So, good evening. So, just please take a microphone. Cornelia Seibeld, I would like to start with you. This award ceremony is taking place together with the support of the Berlin State Parliament, and it is taking place today here at the Red Town Hall or City Hall, but the support is given by the Berlin State Parliament. And why is it that the State Parliament is supporting all this work done by these prize winners here? Well, thank you. That we are very grateful that we can award the Obermayer Award and have been able to do so for the last 24 years, because, as is always said, who doesn't know his history cannot shape the future. And if we will not succeed today to teach this, bring this across to the young generation, I'm not referring only to history classes at school and teaching the facts and the numbers, but we have to bring this across at the emotional level to people so that they can understand what the darkest hours of Germany were. And I think after the 7th of October, we saw how quickly a society can go down the slippery road, slippery slope, and how quickly certain tendencies can spread. And therefore, the projects and the people who are given this award are a very enormous help for us. So this is for the first time that these Obermayer Awards are presented here at the Red City Hall. Well, first of all, I'm very happy. Cornelia Seibeld said that this award has been given here in Berlin for the last 24 years already, and there were some organizational problems with the State Parliament in Berlin, and I said, yes, of course, we will do that. This award has to be given around the 27th of January, of course, and I said, yes, of course, we can use the premises of the Red City Hall. And I'm very happy that we have this award here for certain civil society initiatives and that we can present this award here, because I believe we need such beacons. So, of course, we need politicians, the law enforcement agencies. They have to work against anti-Semitism, hatred, marginalization, but on the other hand, we also need society as a whole. Ladies and gentlemen, I believe we all have to do something together. We have to join forces to work against anti-Semitism, marginalization, and so on. And we are witnessing something in the streets of Berlin at the moment, which makes me very proud, namely that there are so many people taking to the road who protest and take part in demonstrations against hatred and racism. And I'm very proud that the topic of Jewish life is again and again dealt with, and an important topic here at the City Hall. Mr. Teichtal, Rabbi Teichtal, for the first time this year we lighted the Chanukah chandelier and the first candle here at the City Hall, and we have our honorary citizens like Mr. Blumenthal, the founder of the Jewish Museum in Berlin. So Jewish life is not something that we can take for granted, but it's something that really makes us happy. This is a stroke of luck for us, but this is also a commitment and an obligation, namely to protect. And you said that since the 7th of October, it has become ever more clear that this situation is very fragile. I know that the topic of anti-Semitism is a topic that is very close to your hearts, and the initiatives that we are going to learn about today are initiatives that are active in these fields and have been active in these fields for a long time. What is the hope that you link to that you pin to that by making these projects and these initiatives public and known to the public? I think it's very important that it's not only that we have to acknowledge that it's not only politicians who can set the yardstick here, and there are many colleagues from our parliament here. It's very important what the Berlin government does in this field. That is indispensable, but the hundreds of thousands of people who take to the roads and the streets, that is at least as important, maybe even more important. And the projects that are winning the awards today show how such involvement, such a commitment and work can come right from the middle of society, and that we are not only prepared, but that there is a wish that we have Jewish life in Germany, and the wish for that has to come right from the center of society. And it's not something that politicians can stipulate, but this has to come from the center of our society. And there are thousands of volunteers, and we will give this award to the beacons of this civil society engagement. So, Mr. Wegner, what is your hope that you pin to making these projects public? Well, the objective is that we find as many copycats as possible, people to follow suit, as many people as possible who will get engaged in similar projects, that we will have even more civil society engagement with regard to these topics, because I want to say it once again, anti-Semitism is not something that suddenly popped up. Since the 7th of October, we have had a different quality, a different quantity with regard to anti-Semitism. But if we, but we have to be honest, we also had anti-Semitism in Germany, in Berlin, even before the 7th of October. Maybe we closed our eyes to that. We didn't want to acknowledge that. When something happened, of course, we did solidarity prayers, and the next day we returned to normal life. And I think today, now we've reached a point where we can no longer close our eyes. We've reached a kind of quality, a level where we have to say so far and not one step further. And when I hear in among parliaments and our streets, never again is now, then this is very good. But it also has to, we also have to say, never again means also in future. Never again is now and also for the future. And here it is the police, the judiciary that is called upon, but above all it's the citizens of our country, the citizens of the city of Berlin, who are called upon to really speak out clearly and say that there are certain things that they won't tolerate in our city, and part of that is anti-Semitism. Well, thank you to the President of the Berlin Parliament, Cornelia Seibeld. Thank you to the governing mayor of Berlin. Thank you for this discussion. So before we move on to the award ceremony, I would like to shed some light and present the activities of the Obermayer Foundation to you. I'm very, very happy that they are so loyal that the members of the Obermayer family come to Berlin year after year. And so I would like to welcome Dr. Judith Obermayer and Joel Obermayer. We are very happy to have you here. And also the head of the jury, Sara Nachama. I would like to welcome all three of them here to the stage.
Ein Mikrofon ist noch hier, liebe Sara Nachama. So let's start actually with, some years ago, dear Judith, how did the award start and why?
Well, Arthur was interested in genealogy and where his family came from.
Your husband.
He was my husband who died a few years ago. And all of his grandparents were born in southern Germany. And he would come to Germany to do research on their lives and so on. And as he was doing these things, he would run into people who were doing amazing things to preserve Jewish things, Jewish culture, cemeteries, synagogues, and all the kinds of little towns and cities around Germany. For example, there was a woman from Fürth who decided to restore the Jewish cemetery that had been totally destroyed by the Nazis. And in the process of putting that cemetery together, she created 15,000 biographies of people who had lived in the town. And she was not alone. There were other people in other places doing things. Arthur would go to genealogy meetings and talk to other people doing this kind of work in Germany. And he felt that this was something people needed to know about, both in Germany and especially the Jewish community that was outside of Germany should know that people were doing these kinds of things and that they should be recognized in some way. And that was sort of the beginning of the idea for the awards.
Now, years later, we have so many awardees and initiatives you have been shown through this award. And die Obermayer Foundation, liebes Publikum, diese Preise, die sind wirklich nur ein ganz kleiner Bestandteil eines viel größeren Projekts, das sich in den letzten Jahren gebildet hat und entstehen konnte. Und das ist der Verein Widen the Circle. Joel, let's talk about Widen the Circle. What is it about?
Sure. I have made it my life's mission to continue my father's work, not just the awards as he's done them, but to extend it to connect issues of history to current issues around prejudice and intolerance and anti-Semitism. And the way that we've done it, the way I've done it, is by founding something called Widen the Circle. And Widen the Circle exists to works in Germany and the United States. We support people who do local history work, history related to history of oppression and injustice, for example, related to German Jewish history and the Holocaust here in Germany, or the history of racism in the United States. And we do this work and we do the support in order to create a more just world today. And we have three main programs. The first is the one that you are all here for today. We run the Obermayer Awards on behalf of the Obermayer Foundation. The second program is that we have developed a network of people who do very serious remembrance work and anti-prejudice work all around Germany. It includes all of our awardees, but it goes way, way beyond that. And the third thing that we do is we build international bridges between people who deal with the legacy of these tough histories, particularly the German Jewish history and the history of racism in the United States, and we bring them together in order for them to learn from one another and accomplish much more than they could on their own.
So many people are included actually in this kind of project. What has it become? What is it right now, Widen the Circle? How many people do participate?
So, for example, in our network, we have around 300, a little more than 300 people all around Germany who are involved in different ways. Some much more core who are, involved much more heavily, but it's been growing over time. And then we have also recently moved to make our commitment to this work here in Germany much more solid by founding a nonprofit association of Rhine so that we can have more impact here in a much more permanent way. And a lot of that work will be related to the network. And then I would just say that the other thing that we've been doing recently, which you will all witness today, I think, is we want tonight, for example, to widen the circle a little bit. For example, we're giving a special award today to somebody who does really, really significant work around issues of Afro-German history. And while that history, that community obviously is not the same in as German Jewish history, it is a community that was clearly very badly oppressed during the Nazi period. And that history, at least in German remembrance culture, has often not gotten the attention that I think it deserves. And so one of the ways to widen the circle tonight is for everyone to get a sense of this history and, in our mind, to use an event like this to try and move it forward.
Thank you so much for this important work. Really great. Faszinierend. Da hat sich also vieles getan. Wirklich von Anfang an dabei ist Sara Nachama.
So right from the beginning, Sara Nachama has been part of it. So for more than 20 years, or 24 years, she's been part of this for almost a quarter of a century. At that time, you were 12 years old. Claire, of course, she was only 12 years old. So the award has developed since then. What does this mean for the work of the jury? Who are the members of the jury? And what does it? What is the network idea for this year? Well, in the jury, we always had 5 people who came together and who looked through the nominations to see to whom they wanted to award the prize, because we usually got a lot of proposals. Well, today in the jury, we have again 5 people. I want to mention the names, and maybe you could get up. Anneke de Hanne, Christina Finch,
Miriam Bistrowitz, and last but not least, the only man we have here today is Hank Obermayer.
I also want to say that in 2021 and 2022, we were able to award this prize only online, in a virtual meeting, of course, due to the coronavirus. Many of those awardees of those 2 years are present among us today. And I would like to also ask you to get up so that we can pay tribute to you. For 2021,
Akubitz,
Das Akubitz.
Volker Keller,
Jawohl.
Volker Keller, Elisabeth Kahn, Erich Zeugnerhaus, Friederika Feschner und Marion Lilienthal. Für das Jahr 2022 sind die Preisträger Badehaus, Buberles und von Schlomit Tripp, Christoph Pies und Freunde von Laufenweiler Synagoge, Treibhaus und dann Josef Ada. Josef Wiskirchen ist nicht da. Zeitlupe. Sind nicht alle da, aber diejenigen, die da sind, möchten wir gerne würdigen.
Not all of them are present here, but we would like to pay tribute to all of them, and in particular to those who are present here. But I would like to welcome one in particular, and that is the head of the Jewish community here in Berlin, Gideon Joffe. He's among us here, and we are very happy that you are here. So many people are here who are networking, who use these days for networking, for sharing ideas, and all this thanks to the family, Obermayer family. Thank you to Judith Obermayer, Joel Obermayer, and to the chair of the jury, Ms. Nachama, and also to the whole of the jury. Thank you to all of you.
So, ladies and gentlemen, we now move on to the actual award presentation. And the first Obermayer Awards of this evening will go to Dirk Erkelenz. Congratulations.
Dirk Erkelenz is Lehrer in Köln.
Is teacher in Cologne. He has changed the culture at the school, the high school. He teaches by motivating pupils and enabling them to do research on former Jewish pupils at this very school. In his project course History, there have been more than 150 young people that participated since 2015. And let's have a look what makes this project so special.
Mein Name ist Dirk Erkelenz, bin Lehrer für Latein und Geschichte hier an der Königin-Luise-Schule in Köln. Also ich bin 2011 zum ersten Mal mit meinem damaligen Leistungskurs nach Auschwitz gefahren, war meine erste Begegnung. Für mich war das eine Erfahrung, die ich nie wieder vergessen werde. Schüler waren auch in völliger Auflösung, völligem Unverständnis, umdrängten mich da. Herr Erkelenz, wie kann sowas passieren? Wie können Menschen das machen? Und dann merkte ich selber, ich kann darauf keine mich selbst zufriedenstellende Antwort geben. Und davon ausgehend habe ich dann gedacht, ich muss das anders angehen. Denn auch das habe ich in Auschwitz gemerkt, wenn wir irgendwas in den Wolken unterrichten, Nationalsozialismus in Berlin, alles nur in Büchern, auf alten Fotos, das wirkt nicht. Man muss das an sich selber merken. Und wenn wir uns den ansehen am Beispiel unserer Schule, wie die Dinge da gelaufen sind, um die Größenordnung einzuschätzen, es haben bestimmt 500 jüdische Mädchen diese Schule besucht, denn es ist die älteste städtische Mädchenschule in Köln ab 1871. Dann haben Schüler sofort eine persönliche Verbindung, einen persönlichen Bezug. Ihre Schule, ihre Straße, ihre Mitschüler, wenn auch vor 100 Jahren, ihre Altersgenossen. Und dann finden sich bis jetzt immer so um die 20 Schüler, die diesen Projektkurs wählen wollen.
I get an email from a girl called Sarah Stauber. She said, I'm from the Königin-Luise-Schule. We are interested in finding out what happened to the Jewish girls who went to our school. To writing a small biography. What can you tell me about your mother?
Dann kam aber tatsächlich nach einigen Tagen eine seitenlange Mail. Also ich habe es irgendwann mal in Word kopiert. Das waren, glaube ich, 3 oder 4 Seiten. Und ja, Gunther war total freudig eigentlich, dass ich mich gemeldet habe und dass wir da an der Geschichte seiner Mutter so interessiert sind und habe dann auch ja natürlich den Kontakt dann immer weiter ausgebaut, bis wir ihn dann auch irgendwann treffen konnten, endlich in Köln, als er dann bei einer Veranstaltung da war. Und das war direkt total herzlich. Also er hat uns direkt in den Arm genommen und hat sich so gefreut, das mit uns teilen zu können und dass wir uns da so viel Mühe geben.
I then went to school. I met the headmistress and I met the teacher, Dirk Erkelenz. And then I found out that more children in the school, two, were after writing biographies of all the Jewish girls which went to the school.
dass überhaupt erstmal die Biografie erforscht wird, sodass ein Stolperstein verlegt werden kann. Das ist ja erstmal ein wissenschaftlicher Auftrag, der sozusagen erfüllt werden muss. Dann aber diesen doch emotionalen Aspekt der Stolpersteinverlegung und daran, so viele Schülerinnen und Schüler zu beteiligen, die ja nicht gezwungen werden, an dieser Veranstaltung teilzunehmen, sondern die haben ein Interesse daran ausgedrückt oder sind sogar Patenklassen, ist für mich dann sozusagen der Startpunkt, dass die hoffentlich in ein paar Jahren vielleicht dann selber diese Biografien mit erforschen wollen. Denn wir haben noch mehrere jüdische Schülerinnen, die darauf warten, sozusagen von uns erforscht zu werden und für die wir gerne noch Stolpersteine verlegen möchten.
What Dirk is doing and Dirk's students are doing is they're giving these students at a perfect moment in their development, an opportunity to get hands-on with something that is impossible to understand. Engaging with it in this very present tense way gives them a capacity. It opens up something in themselves. And it builds this bridge with descendants that is so, not just from me, but all the descendants now that I've spoken with. It's been life-changing for all of us.
Die Person, um die es ja eigentlich irgendwie auch geht, stolz auf deine Arbeit oder zufrieden mit deiner Arbeit ist und dankbar für das ist, was du getan hast. Und das hat einen total glücklich gemacht und es gibt einem so ein ganz warmes Gefühl, weil man das Gefühl hat, man hat hier gerade wirklich was Gutes geschafft. Man hat was gemacht, was jemandem etwas bedeutet, was einem selbst etwas bedeutet. Und mit diesem Stein klar war, okay, wir haben hier jetzt wirklich was fertig, die Biografie steht, der Stein liegt, wir haben es hier geschafft, an dieser Schule für immer an sie zu erinnern.
This interest in that school or in Germany about Jewish life, keeping it alive, what happened, moves me deeply. It is a fantastic job that here is a history teacher, who gets into the history and keeps it alive.
Und es bleibt etwas übrig. Und wenn ihr in 10 Jahren nochmal kommt, und mittlerweile kommen auch manche, um sich nochmal ihren Stolperstein anzusehen und sagen, das ist meiner. Also da habe ich dran gearbeitet. Oder in dem Gedenkbuch, meine Biografie ist da drin, das ist mein Werk.
Dirk Erkelenz, Gratulation. Ja, wir haben es gerade gehört.
Well, we've just heard it. Ladies and gentlemen, the film we just heard, life-changing for all of us. So what impact did this unearthing of the school's history have on the school itself? I think the film said it all, basically. Indeed, it did. It's quite hard to come up with questions for an interview because the film was so telling, but perhaps there are a few more things you can tell us. Well, what did we change? What difference did we make? I think it would take some time to really explain it all to you. We've researched 30 biographies of victims. Some of them were so tragic that they were impossible to bear, really. 150 pupils were actively involved to do research at a scientific level, specific research that has a very tangible impact and that they will probably never forget in their entire lives. We've made contacts with descendants whom we spoke with. Many of them were deeply moved about the fact that German pupils have decided to do research and to take an active stance against the forgetfulness of many of their forefathers. And so perhaps, Dirk, let me ask you, what is it that the young people are so interested in when they start the project? Well, I would have to ask the students themselves. What did you observe, Dirk? Well, on the one hand, it's nice for the teachers to take a different role, to take on a different role, not to be sitting before the teacher and listening to a lesson, but to become active, to create something themselves, to create something that remains. And because of the biography and the stumbling stone, these are the things that remain, that really make a difference. And this is something that the students understand. And it is a contribution to making sure that history will not repeat itself. I think this is something that that became clear in the film. But where do the students find results? Do they go to archives or libraries? Well, in Cologne, we do have the advantage to have the NS Documentation Center. It's an authority, and I'm pleased that Ms. Klarczyk from the authority is here with us today. We work very closely with this agency, and the students do research online in all the databases that we have these days. And of course, this is very helpful because these are documents that were inaccessible, really, in the past. And something else that I found that I belittled, or that I used to belittle in the past, the genealogy portals or platforms, especially American Jewish families use these portals to do research about their families, about their family histories. And this really helped us to establish contacts with the many families that we now have contact with. This is really wonderful, and I think you brought many of the young people with you, and I would like to ask them to join us here on stage. Ute Flink and Sarah Stauber, Nia Beckmüller, Lukas Boy, and Ben Burz. Please join me here on stage for the photo, because now, Dirk Erkelenz, let's take a step ahead, up front to the stage. Welcome to all the students, former pupils. Ms. Seibeld, Mr. Wegner also join us, Joel Obermayer and Sara Nachama. We will now have to move a lot for the awarding, and the photographer told me that we please line up here on the left-hand side, dear awardees, to make sure we get a wonderful picture, because otherwise it's quite hard to get everybody in. So please look to your left. I hope is this how you wanted it, photographer? Maybe a second row? I perhaps give a hand for everybody to motivate them. Dirk Erkelenz receives an Obermayer Award 2024. There are flowers as well. Lovely. We've got that picture done. Congratulations once again. Thank you very much indeed.
So, und jetzt dürfen Sie sich ganz entspannt.
So now you may take your seats and lay back and enjoy. And I think everybody else, the jury and Ms. Seibeld and Mr. Wegner, need to go back and forth for every awardee. Thank you. So now we'll move on to the next 2024 Obermayer Award. That will go to Kai Jans from EXIL e.V. in Eberswalde. In 1997, ladies and gentlemen, when neo-Nazis had conquered the city, basically, the association was founded by a courageous group of people that are still committed to the maintenance and preservation of two barracks of the former concentration camp of Ravensbrück. where women were deported and had to do forced labor. The location is now a place of encounter for musicians, for culture, and for some time now for self-organized migrant groups and youth as well. So now please enjoy the film.
Ich nehme an, dass Exil aus dem Wunsch entstanden ist, dass man hier einen Ort hat, der so ein bisschen wo man sich so ein bisschen rausnimmt. Also ein subkultureller Ort.
Auf der einen Seite irgendwie bietet der Verein mit dem Ort einfach auch die Möglichkeit für Gruppen, für junge Menschen sein zu können, dort Veranstaltungen zu machen, dort Konzerte zu veranstalten. Und gleichzeitig ist der Exil-Verein selber irgendwie auch Akteur, mischt sich ein oder ist ein lebendiger Teil der Zivilgesellschaft. Der Ort und die Menschen, die diesen Ort betreiben, sind wichtig für die Stadt und sind eben Bestandteil eines Settings, das dafür Sorge trägt, dass Nazis keinen Raum gewinnen.
Und sonst halt einfach, dass
Schutzraum
man,
halt auch
genau, vor allem der Schutzraum und diese so, okay, wir lernen uns kulturell halt auch nochmal anders kennen, so, ne, durch feste Aktivitäten oder so.
Exil bedeutet für mich, ist alles schön ist, wenn ich in Exil erinnere, dann Freunde, wir waren hier also fremd und Exil war wie zu Hause.
Am Anfang war hier Punkrock. Praktisch ist dieser Ort ein Ort von subkultureller Selbstorganisation, der sich insbesondere in den frühen 90ern, späten 90ern, 2000ern immer mit Rechtsextremismus auseinandergesetzt hat. Wir sind ja in diesem Umfeld aufgewachsen und damit aufgewachsen und mussten uns da zurechtfinden.
Wir erinnern uns natürlich, dass eben Amadeo Antonio in Eberswalde erschlagen wurde, der erste rassistisch geprägte Mord in der Ex-DDR. Der Exilverein und die Menschen, die mit ihm verbunden sind wesentlicher Bestandteil der Zivilgesellschaft, die daran Anteil hat, dass sich an diesem Klima in der Stadt etwas geändert hat. Also das macht diesen Verein aus. Und der andere Aspekt ist natürlich die Liegenschaft, die mit dem Exilverein verbunden ist, irgendwie die letzten baulichen Überreste eines KZ-Außenlagers in Brandenburg.
Hierher wurden Ende 1944 bis April 1945 über 800 Frauen verschleppt, die hier gefangen gehalten wurden und zur Zwangsarbeit in der nahegelegenen Fabrik Adelt in der Rüstungsproduktion gezwungen wurden. Und wir sind jetzt aber ein Ort, der ist in der Stadt aufgehoben, wo sich die Stadt mit dem Ort und mit ihrer Geschichte beschäftigen muss. Und so müssen wir uns einfach immer mit Erinnerung und Erinnerungskultur und der Entwicklung von Erinnerungskultur beschäftigen. Und hier halt eben auch mit dem, wie wir Erinnern an dem Ort hier gestalten wollen.
Das Besondere ist, glaube ich, dass es ein historischer Ort ist, aber kein Museum, ne? Sondern dass er halt unbedingt gelebt wird, dass wir halt im Sinne unserer eigenen Haltung da auch immer uns wieder neu updaten. Ja, total wichtig, wie Benny gerade schon angesprochen hat, dass halt auch die Bands, die hier spielen, auch den Hintergrund wissen. So, ne? Also, weil ich glaube, dann macht es doch auch noch mal was mit der Haltung. Alle sind auch immer ziemlich beeindruckt, dann, dass man halt Geschichte so leben kann.
Also wir stellen immer die Frage, und wir stellen oft die Frage, kann man das hier so an dem Ort machen? So, also kann ich jetzt zum Beispiel hier eine Punkrock-Party feiern an dem Ort, wo Frauen gelitten haben? Viele Jugendliche und viele, die offen dafür sind, sagen, dass es natürlich so ist, weil genau wegen der Umkehr. Es gibt sicher die Notwendigkeit, ein stilles Gedenken an Orten zu haben und eine gewisse Ehrfurcht zu haben vor Orten. Aber der Ort hier, so wie er hier ist, hat es wahrscheinlich notwendig, dass man da sehr viel Leben hinbringt von den unterschiedlichen Gruppen. Also aktuell steht ja für ein Ort, der von ganz unterschiedlichen Menschen aus Eberswalde genutzt wird. Also seit 1,5 Jahren ist hier eine Gruppe von Ukrainerinnen, die Kinder- und Jugendarbeit machen und eine Seniorengruppe, die hier Angebote macht. Eine Gruppe von jungen arabischen Frauen, die machen hier Party. So, nur sie alleine. Und ihre Geschwister, die kommen jetzt zum Theater, kleineren. Heute ist Halloween. Wenn ich sagen darf, heute machen wir Halloween, heute werden alle angemalt. Also man braucht so Orte, wo ich mich zurückziehen kann.
Eigentlich, ich kam hier zu diesem Land ohne nichts, kannte ich die Sprache nicht. Hier habe ich die Sprache gelernt, habe ich Freunde kennengelernt. Ich weiß nicht, EXIL, es bedeutet viel für mich. Und nicht für mich, sondern für meine Geschwister, Freundinnen und so.
Solches Ort ist sehr wichtig für uns jetzt und war sehr wichtig vorher, weil, also, wenn es kein EXIL gäbe, dann würden wir alle zu Hause sitzen. Wir würden uns gar nicht kennenlernen. Und danke EXIL, dass die uns solche Möglichkeit gegeben haben.
EXIL e.V.
EXIL e.V.
Kajans.
Gratulation. Congratulations.
Ich bin ja gespannt auf die Fragen.
So I'm really excited about your questions. Oh dear, me too. Well, I'd really like to know, and the film gave us an idea about it, in what way the EXIL, the location, changed the climate in Eberswalde, in your city. How do people respond to the location? Well, today we call this influencing. We've been influencing for 30 years now, and that's the way it is. I mean, it makes a difference when people like you and me in their everyday lives, they say you shouldn't do certain things. So you shape the face of a city by being on the ground, by opening a place to people, up for people, and by taking a clear stand. So influencing also means convincing people. Yes, because you are convinced of a certain cause if you are in this place. You have true convictions and a clear attitude. But I mean, this became quite clear in the film. But do you succeed in convincing people who are not yet convinced of your cause? Well, of course, if you try to convince people, it takes a lot of time. Well, you can't say this here at this house, at the Senate Chancellery. Well, of course, it takes a lot of time if you want to get people involved and convince them. But maybe let's leave it at that. Influencing, I mean, this sounds very nice. It's a special place. We've seen this in the film. It's a historic place, but it's not a museum. You said this in the film. But is there anything that reminds people of the history of the place? We've seen one or two spots in the film. But we had a clear concept when we developed the place. 15 years ago, we had an exhibition. Today, we have an electronic guided tour where you can log in with your mobile phone, with your smartphone, and then get information in a guided tour about the historic meaning. And now with the Ukrainian group that we're working with, we also want to integrate them. We have had a project with German-Polish, about German-Polish history, because many of the women who were deported there were Polish. And we want to complement this with a Ukrainian perspective. What we want, we want to find a way to promote the culture of remembrance in a history, in a society that is home to many migrants. So we are continuing to develop. We are a big group of different people, and I think I'm not the one to be honored by myself. So there are many people who have been working very hard. You can see I have a theater background. I like to act. So you are putting words into my mouth. I was about to call everybody on stage, but now that you mentioned it, let me on this note, ladies and gentlemen, call Benjamin Karsten, Paula Thurmann und Stern und Swantje Henke. Please join me on stage. I'm delighted to have you here. And you've seen how we do it. This is where we take the picture. The certificate is presented by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and Mr. Wegner, Sara Nachama and Joel Obermayer. Congratulations, EXIL e.V. Wonderful. This is how we take the picture, and we'll now have flowers and the certificate. Congratulations once again.
Jetzt wird hier noch ein bisschen arrangiert.
Everybody's getting in their right position. You've already noticed we have 2 photographers, which makes it even a little bit more complicated.
Jawohl, ein Applaus.
Wonderful. Please give a hand for EXIL e.V.
Gratulation, lieber regierender Bürgermeister, bilaterales.
Also, please, Governing Mayor, you can have bilateral conversations later on. But of course, we can see there's a lot of need and the wish to get talking. Once again, congratulations. So, ladies and gentlemen, let us now move on to the next Obermayer Award. Christoph Mauny from Weimar. He has set up a number of different innovative commemorative projects, including new media and under the active participation of young people. He encourages, enables people of all different walks of life who are interested to take a stand against anti-Semitism and right-wing extremism, and we will now see what these projects are all about in the film.
Ich bin Christoph Mauny. Ich arbeite für die Weimarer Mal- und Zeichenschule als Bildungsreferent. Und das bedeutet vor allen Dingen eigentlich Projektarbeit in Schulen, in Kindergärten, aber auch in der Erwachsenenbildung. Die Jugend habe ich verbracht in Thüringen, gerade in diesem kleinen Ort und dann in so einer Kleinstadt, Ende der 90er Jahre, Anfang der 2000er. Jetzt so retrospektiv betrachtet kann man so kaum noch nachvollziehen. Und Rassismus, Ausländerfeindlichkeit, Antisemitismus, ohne dass man irgendwie Jüdinnen und Juden kennt, waren allgegenwärtig. Es war irgendwie so eine Stimmung, die auch immer so einen Impuls gesteuert hat, man muss was machen. Ja, und habe mir so in der dann beruflichen Laufbahn, die so im Kulturbereich, schließlich vor allen Dingen bei der Stiftung Schloss Friedenstein in Gotha, im Museum, zu arbeiten und heute bei der Weimarer Mal- und Zeichenschule versucht, immer Freiräume zu schaffen und auch immer nach innen zu fragen und die Diskussion und die Debatte anzuhalten, so was ist das Herz des Instituts oder der Einrichtung und wenn wir rausgucken, was ist nötig.
Ja, wir befinden uns hier mitten in der Residenzstadt Gotha, die geprägt ist von Schloss Friedenstein. Und wir sind hier auf dem Parkplatz des noch nicht allzu alten Altstadtforums. Wie man sieht, hier sind mehrere Fachmärkte, Supermärkte so aneinandergereiht, in dessen Mitte gedacht wird und erinnert wird an die Vergangenheit. Hier, nämlich die Gotha Synagoge hat sich hier befunden.
Wie geht man mit diesem Ort um, der Synagoge? Kann es das sein, dass man jetzt einen konsumistisch geprägten Ort da hat, der gleichzeitig aber versucht zu erinnern? Und es war klar, wir müssen hier was machen. Das schreit einfach nach einer Intervention.
Also das Projekt war ja, die Gotha Synagoge lebt. Und da ging es halt darum, dass wir das quasi nochmal zum Leben erwecken, hier mit einer großen Fassadenprojektion. Und ja, halt nochmal Aufnahmen gezeigt haben von der Synagoge und darüber gesprochen haben, was hier am 9. auf den 10. November 1938 passiert ist in der Reichspogromnacht.
Christoph hat uns dann so in das Projekt auch zu der Synagoge lebt, also das Fassadenprojekt dann mit eingebunden. Dann sind wir auch nach Weimar gefahren, haben da die ganzen Filmaufnahmen gemacht. Also es war ja im Dunkeln dann, also quasi Kinoatmosphäre, alles war dunkel. Und dann kam alle paar Minuten dann der Film über die komplette Fassade. Also es war wirklich alles bespielt und bestrahlt.
Also ich muss sagen, Christoph hat eine sehr krass pädagogische Fähigkeit. Und es war halt, er ist super sensibel mit dem Thema umgegangen. Es war auch nicht monoton. Es war auf super vielen verschiedenen Ebenen, auf der künstlerischen Seite, auf der pädagogischen Seite. Es war einfach super toll. Er hat uns quasi an dem ersten Tag schon gleich festgehalten und uns auch irgendwo Sicherheit geboten, dass wir mit dem Thema nicht alleine sind.
Chess. Zocken.
Und zwar haben wir ganz klar gesagt, es ist eine notwendige Erweiterung dieses lokalen Erinnerungsortes, weil es mehr ist als dieser Ort, mehr als ritualisiertes Gedenken, sondern sowas wie eine lebendige Erinnerungskultur nochmal will und sinnlich, ästhetisch. Mir hat ein Zeitzeuge von Ortruf erzählt, was ich damals noch nicht kannte. Also, dass es ein Konzentrationslager direkt vor Gotha gab. Dort wurden insgesamt über wenige Monate der Existenz vom November 1944 bis zur Befreiung im April 1945 etwa 20.000 Menschen aus ganz Europa gezwungen, ein Führerhauptquartier, ein sogenanntes Führerhauptquartier dort einzurichten. Damit nicht genug, dass es dort überhaupt ein Lager gab. Aber es war dann nach schnellen, kurzen Recherchen klar, es war nicht irgendein Lager. Es war das erste Lager, was die US-Alliierten befreit haben. Wenn man noch dazu sagt, das erste, in dem sie sowohl Lebende als auch Tote gesehen hat. Aber Ortruf war die ganze Zeit, und es ist jetzt in meiner Arbeit in der Malschule in Weimar, auch besonders als Pars pro Toto zu verstehen, als eins von vielen. Also wir haben je nach Rechnung etwa 139 Außenlager Buchenwalds, die sich über die gesamte Mitte Deutschlands strecken. Und das ist nicht Teil des Unterrichts in Schulen, zumindest nicht in Thüringer Schulen. Und wir bringen es durch dieses an Schulen gekoppelte Projekt aber in den Unterricht rein.
Christoph Mauny zeichnet es aus, dass er es schafft, den moralischen Kompass zu setzen, aber die Ansprüche nicht zu hoch zu schrauben, sondern zu sagen, jeder und jede kann eigentlich in dem eigenen Handlungsfeld etwas dazu beitragen, an die Geschichte zu erinnern, beziehungsweise unsere Gesellschaft mit den demokratischen Prinzipien zu stärken.
Was Christoph uns vor allem gelernt hat, die Vergangenheit zu ehren, um die Zukunft besser gestalten zu können und dass wir quasi laut sind, um zu präventieren und dass man daran erinnert.
Er unterstützt uns halt aufzustehen und unsere Meinung auch laut zu sagen. Und dass eben hier auch zum Beispiel in Gotha viele Dinge falsch laufen, was die Politik angeht und den Antisemitismus zum Beispiel.
Christoph will auf jeden Fall eine aktive Erinnerungskultur. Er will in die Gesellschaft reinwirken und dafür geht er eben auch auf die Straße. Also Christoph hat selber ganz klare Haltung. Also er ist ein Kämpfer gegen Antisemitismus, gegen Rassismus, gegen Menschenfeindlichkeit. Und natürlich die Erinnerungsarbeit, die er macht, die ist eben auch ein Weg, um Menschen darin zu stärken, sich auch in einer ähnlichen Form zu engagieren.
Christoph Mauny, Gratulation. Hallo. Vergessenes, Verborgenes sichtbar zu machen.
Making things that have been forgotten visible. This is what your projects are all about. What I'd like to know is how people respond to it on the ground. What reactions do you get? That's a difficult question. I think it was a mistake not watching this film before. I'm quite confused, quite moved. Matthias and Olivia, it's good to see you. I just wanted to win some time to answer. So you said, how do people respond? Well, there are different kinds of reactions. Well, you know, when you think of the example of the synagogue in Gotha, we struck a nerve, really. These are things that you could have talked about in prestigious locations, but we went to a place where people go shopping, and so we targeted a different audience. And I think this is what it's really about, especially when it comes to educational institutions or academic institutions. We need to go where we meet different target groups. and at best we do this together. So I think this is what is so wonderful about receiving this award, because the participative approach really counts. And David Gillis from the Anne Frank Center will certainly, here he is. There was a small misunderstanding in the film, but I think to do all this you need a very competent pedagogical co-worker. I'm just quoting from the film. So you were the one to create the momentum and to do even more, as we heard from those who spoke up in the film, an attitude, a clear stand. What are the questions you ask the young people who you want to win over? Well, there are different strategies to approach them, different formats. What has proven successful is to create workshops that are not too theoretical but more practical, and greetings go out to my school for painting. What we do there is to link artistic education to political education. So you in our workshop you learn at different levels with your heart and mind. We heard about the branch concentration camps and we saw the map. Do you have follow-up projects for all of them? Well, yes, this is why we've come together tonight. We would like to hand the locations over to you. I'd like to send the best to my state of Thuringia, because there's a lot that remains to be done in Thuringia. Mr. Wegner, Ms. Seibeld, Sara Nachama, Joel Obermayer, please join us on stage. There's just one candidate and one awardee here on stage, so it will be a bit easier this time to take a picture. We will now present the certificate to Christoph Mauny and the many participants in these wonderful projects. Congratulations once again. The Obermayer Award of this year goes to Christoph Mauny.
Wunderbar. Noch eins? Ja. Vielen, vielen Dank.
Thank you very much indeed, and once again, congratulations.
Gemeinsam mit ihrer inzwischen verstorbenen Mutter.
Well, together with her late mother, Marie Rolshoven initiated a project in Berlin which prompts people to do research into the biographies of people who, during the Nazi time, were persecuted, for people who live in those houses of those people who were persecuted and had to flee. And we'll watch a little film about her work and what this special feature is of her project.
Mein Name ist Marie Rolshoven und bei uns war das Thema NS seit der Grundschule sehr präsent. Aber was mir im Vergleich zu heute gefehlt hat, war die Verbindung zu meiner Schule, zu meiner Straße, zu meiner Stadt. Und so ist auch Denkmal am Ort, das Projekt, entstanden.
Marie and Janni, and they said, well, we do this project in Berlin. I said, oh, very interesting. I have an address for you, which is Gavinostraße 20, which is the address of my mom for a certain period, where she lived with her parents. And the project became very vivid. I went there in 2018, and they made a big thing in that there's a courtyard. So about 60 people came to listen to the stories. There were pictures of the families who lived there. And it was a huge success. People afterwards went into the flats that were open to the public to see it. So it was a fantastic start of Denkmal am Ort at Gervinusstraße. And of course there are many, many more places, but for me the Gervinusstraße is very, very important, as you can understand.
Denkmal am Ort gibt es mittlerweile in Berlin, Hamburg, München und Frankfurt. Und an einem Wochenende, was um den Tag der Befreiung der jeweiligen Stadt liegt, erinnern wir an Orten, wo Menschen gelebt haben, die verfolgt wurden. Das heißt, in der Wohnung, wo die Menschen gelebt haben, an der Uni, wo sie studiert haben oder im Café, wo sie sich mit Freunden getroffen haben. Und zu diesen Erinnerungen kommen mittlerweile Nachkommen, Angehörige, Zeitzeugen und erinnern gemeinsam an den Orten, wo ihre Familien gelebt haben.
Es geht um die Geschichte von der Familie Katzenellenbogen, die in dieser Wohnung gewohnt hat bis 1939. Bei uns gibt es einen sehr wichtigen Aspekt, da wir die Familie, die tatsächliche Familie, die Nachfolger von der Familie, die hier gewohnt haben, kennengelernt haben.
Es war sehr aufregend, als sie kamen. Er kam rein und hat gesagt, hier war mein Zimmer, hier war das Schlafzimmer meiner Eltern, hier war das Herrenzimmer, hier war das Arbeitszimmer.
You remembered it immediately.
Sofort, er ist durch die Räume und gesagt, hier hat das Klavier gestanden. Ludwig war sehr offen und er hat es daher auch für uns sehr einfach gemacht, mit seiner Familie in Kontakt zu kommen und auch die Freundschaft zu schließen. Und Ludwigs Tochter Elsa ist eine sehr warmherzige, herzliche Frau, die sofort uns quasi aufgenommen hat in ihre Familie.
It's become important to us. It's become a part of our lives. Opening our apartment every year, we've realized that it's an important part of living in Berlin as well, having part of the remembrance culture.
Touching the door handle, for instance, you know, the door handle which is still probably the same as it was like 80 years ago or 100 years ago. That's something that goes through your body, and then looking out of the window, and you know, you realize people live there peacefully in their homes, and what history did to all these people is absolutely horrendous and terrible. And I think it's a very good way to get history across, you know, history across the younger generation. That's why I think it's such an important project.
I think the unique and core of the project is really connecting people. For these days of commemoration, you step out of your daily life and you step into, yeah, you could say a free zone of thought and connection and storytelling, and that makes people opening up hearts to strangers and to old stories.
Also meine Mutter, Jani Pietsch, ist 2020 gestorben und danach war es für mich schon schwierig, Denkmal am Ort weiterzumachen, weil ich auch gerade im ersten Jahr dann gemerkt habe, 2021, dann war noch Corona, und als wir dann 2022 Denkmal am Ort wieder an den Orten stattfinden konnten, haben wir auch das Begrüßungstreffen mit den Gästen, was wir immer bei Jani im Atelier gemacht haben, dort gemacht. Und da war es dann aber ganz schön, weil ja ganz viele Jani kannten, und Jani hatte für ganz viele Menschen recherchiert und was zu ihren Familien herausgefunden. Also für mich sind Menschen wichtig und ihre Geschichten, und ich finde es wichtig, dass wir einfach auch diese Verbindung wiederherstellen. Das ist einfach eine schöne Verbindung von Menschen, sich irgendwie mit der Geschichte auch auseinanderzusetzen, und auch die Menschen, finde ich auch wichtig, dass wir die hier, die Namen, dass wir die nicht vergessen, sondern dass die irgendwie in unser kollektives Gedächtnis gehören, in diese Stadt, diese Berliner, Hamburger, Münchner, Frankfurter, diese deutschen Juden und die anderen Menschen, die verfolgt wurden, dass die einfach, die waren hier. Und das finde ich wichtig, dass wir auch noch weiter daran erinnern, dass die Menschen hier gelebt haben.
Marie Rolshoven, herzlichen Glückwunsch.
Congratulations.
Ja. Eine tolle Initiative, Denkmal am Ort, liebe Marie.
Think about this place at this place initiative. Well, we have known each other because we do not live far apart, and I've been observing what you've been doing. But who are the people who join you? How do they become part of you and say, well, I want to join you? There are lots of people who join us and who are present here as well. I would like to welcome you and ask them to stand up. I would like to welcome Silva Paskinos from London, Karen and Levi from the United States, Jeff Lyott. There's no micro.
Heute auch hier im Film.
And in the movie you saw Petra Michalski, she's here as well.
Und auch im Film.
And in the movie you also saw in Gervinusstraße Messerschmidt, Mr. Messerschmidt. He has come with his mother.
Und natürlich den.
And of course Denise Citroën, warm welcome.
Toll. Ja. Es ist so von beiden Seiten.
So it's from both sides. So the people who come to us contact us and to join us. And so Jack Weil, we met in Amsterdam, and he told us the story in the film how he came to us, and he has a club, a kind of an association, a kind of coffee and cake club. They meet twice a year. They are children of Berliners. They come with the recipes of their parents. They come together to make cakes together. And there's also a friend, Trucy Lovan-Loeb, and he told her about the project and said, well, I would like to visit the place of my father as well. And then he said, well, I'll go to this house. And there she also met with open doors. Sabine Wüsthoff and Jens Müller said, well, she's more than welcome. And they did a wonderful project last year in the place where her father lived, who had to flee. They played music. There was an installation. He was a kind of graphics designer, so books were presented there. And then people contact us who today live in houses or flats who say that, well, we've done some research already and we want to join you. So there's a couple, for example, they started their research in Schöneberg, and they didn't have any contact to survivors. They didn't know whether there were any. And they did a lot of research for a long time. And then they met Mitzi Rabe, and she was here last year from the United States. And together they did this commemoration in this apartment. So people open up their private flats, their private homes to these people, and they do this with a certain history or story in the background on which they did their own research. So what is the impact of these stories? And is there a difference whether you have such a story or whether you open up a history book? So what is the impact on people? Well, you are exactly in the place where the people used to live. And as Jack said, this is the doorknob that people who lived there beforehand also held in their hands. They walked through the same staircase. They were in the same kitchen, or in the room that was the same kitchen. And people who come together for commemoration, they get into a discussion immediately. It's not as if you go to a kind of museum or a place of commemoration on your own, where you look at books and posters. But here people get together immediately. They get talking. They together commemorate those people who used to live there. And that is very emotional. So I can only recommend that to you. You're all invited to do that, and we help you with the research. If somebody says, well, I don't know where to start, so we are very closely in contact with historians, so everybody can do that. Everybody can start this and can have a look at who used to live in my home, and then to commemorate those people. And I think it's wonderful. And then there's always one weekend where people open up their homes and and where something takes place. And I can only encourage you, accept this offer. You won't get it every day. So Marie, I'm sure you will get a lot of requests from much of the audience here in the next few weeks. So thank you for this wonderful initiative. Denkmal am Ort, think about this place, at this place. So again, the jury and everybody else would like to ask you to come to the stage, and also the two photographers for a photograph of everybody for this special initiative, Denkmal am Ort. Think about this place, at the place.
So, und jetzt noch mal ein Übergangsapplaus, liebes Publikum. Damit die sich ein bisschen motivieren.
So, a round of applause from the audience, please. So that they get into the right mood for this photograph here.
Nummer 1 und wunderbar, Nummer 2. Denkmal am Ort. Marie Rolshoven.
Thank you, Marie Rolshoven, Denkmal am Ort. Congratulations.
Anneke de Rudder, liebes Publikum.
Anneke de Rudder is a provenance researcher and a historian at the State and University Library of Hamburg, and for many years she has done research on the life of Jews in the city of Lüneburg and other places, and her focus has always been on the restitution of Nazi-looted art to the rightful heirs of persecuted people. She found a lot of descendants of Jewish families the world over and contacted them. She built bridges to their hometown Lüneburg and built bridges also between the those who emigrated, those who fled, with those who live today in Lüneburg.
Ich heiße Anneke de Rudder und ich bin Historikerin und Provenienzforscherin. Ich beschäftige mich hauptsächlich eben mit der Suche nach Nazi-Raubgut in den Beständen von Museen oder Bibliotheken. Was ist Provenienzforschung? Also Provenienz ist ein komplizierter Begriff für eine ganz einfache Sache. Das ist das, was ich immer sage. Provenienz heißt einfach nur Herkunft. Wo kommen die Dinge her? Und bei mir speziell geht es um Nazi-Raubgut, um Sachen, die in der Zeit des Nationalsozialismus entweder direkt beschlagnahmt worden sind oder wo Menschen gezwungen worden sind, etwas zu verkaufen, etwas wegzugeben, sich von Dingen zu trennen. Also wenn Menschen das schon mal gehört haben, diesen Begriff und die Sache, dann denken sie meistens an die großen Museen, an die großen Bilder, an Nolde, Liebermann, was weiß ich, Van Gogh, ja, Sachen, die Millionen wert sind. Und was ich aber mache, ich mache das eben auf einer anderen Ebene, also in kleineren Museen oder in Bibliotheken, wo es um Dinge geht, die nicht so wahnsinnig viel wert sind. Im ersten Moment denkt man auch, oh Gott, ich meine, sich mit diesem Kleinkram zu beschäftigen, irgendwelche Bücher oder Möbel oder Silber oder was auch immer, wo man auch im ersten Moment denkt, ist es das überhaupt wert, sich damit zu beschäftigen? Aber ja, das ist es. Und das sind sozusagen die kleinen Dinge.
Das Museum, wie es bis 2009 stand, vertrat so ein bisschen die Auffassung, Lüneburg in der NS-Zeit, da gibt es eigentlich gar nicht so viel drüber zu erzählen. Und das ist eine Auffassung, die wir natürlich nicht teilen. Also ich finde, dass das eine Selbstverständlichkeit war, sich dieses Themas intensiver anzunehmen. Und das lag sozusagen auf der Hand und ist eher sozusagen ein Ausgleich langjähriger Versäumnisse.
Das Museum in Lüneburg hat eben Dinge in seinem Bestand, die aus dieser jüdischen Familie Heinemann kommen. Das ist auch immer schon klar gewesen, denn Markus Heinemann, der ein bedeutender Bankier und Mäzen war und ein großer Freund des Museums im 19. Jahrhundert, hat dem Museum ganz viele Dinge geschenkt. Und dann ist das Museum mal von außen darauf hingewiesen worden, dass da doch ein paar Sachen etwas problematisch sind und dass sie sich das mal genauer angucken sollen.
Im Vorfeld nach diesem Hinweis von außen natürlich geschaut, was haben wir an Unterlagen, was finde ich an Unterlagen zu dieser Provenienzgeschichte Heinemann. Das heißt, man guckt die Katalogbücher, die Zugangsbücher des Museums durch, auch sozusagen jeden Eintrag zu prüfen. Also da setzte dann deine Tätigkeit ein.
Das wichtigste und bedeutendste Stück, was damals 1940 eben angekauft worden ist, unrechtmäßig, ist diese Schauseite einer gotischen Truhe. Und Markus Heinemann war eben ein muss man sagen, Lüneburger Lokalpatriot, der zur Lüneburger Geschichte selber auch gesammelt hat und der eben diese Truhe auch bei sich zu Hause im Haus hängen hatte. Und dieses Ding hat seit 1940 ununterbrochen im Museum gestanden. Aber eben bis vor ein paar Jahren hat man die Geschichte nicht erzählt, die dahinter steckt. Als dann klar war, dass das NS-Raubgut war, musste man die Erben suchen.
I received an email in 2014 from Anneke de Rudder out of the blue asking if I was a descendant of Marcus Heinemann because she'd found my name in an obituary for my mother. And I was very surprised because I had no contact with all the descendants. So it was a big surprise to get this.
Und das war eine unglaubliche Sache. Und dann haben wir eben nach und nach, weiß ich nicht, über 40 Leute gefunden, überall auf der Welt.
And Anneke opened this window into the family history, the family legacy in Lüneburg, the details that Anneke has been able to fill in for us, and her patience and translating and speaking to us in English.
And that's where Anneke was a treasure. She found the history of our family.
Ja, und dann ging es natürlich auch um die Sache selber. Also ich habe eben gesagt, so, wir haben was gefunden. Das gehört euch. Das ist unrechtmäßig erworben worden von uns. Und das Museum möchte das gerne an euch zurückgeben. Dann haben die schließlich gesagt, okay, wir haben uns jetzt geeinigt. Wir nehmen die Dinge zurück und dann machen wir eine Leihgabe ans Museum für 10 Jahre. Und das war natürlich eine wunderbare Lösung. Und vor allem, weil dann in diesem Zusammenhang eben eine zweite Idee aufkam. Und das war die Idee, wir machen daraus ein Familientreffen der Heinemanns in Lüneburg.
That was a life-changing experience when we got together in Lüneburg in 2015. And Anneke was the one that made it all possible. She organized it so that we would learn about Lüneburg, we would visit the homes of our family members, and we would get to know each other. And there were people from all generations. It was a wonderful reunion, and I got very close to people that I had never met. We discovered that even though Anneke had done so much to help our extended family, she also had helped many others along the way.
Also was ich immer wieder erstaunlich finde, ist, dass diese kleinen Dinge eine so große Bedeutung bekommen können. Ohne diese Dinge wären alle diese Geschichten nicht passiert, wäre dieser Kontakt nie zustande gekommen, wären diese Menschen nie hierher gekommen, hätte ich das nie, hätten die Lüneburger das auch nie gesehen. Wir müssen ganz transparent machen, was hier bei uns passiert ist, was unsere Institutionen gemacht haben, wer beteiligt war, Namen nennen, Orte nennen und so weiter. Also das ist auch für mich so ein großes Thema. Das war auch schon immer, fand ich immer total gut, konkrete Erinnerungen. Zu sagen, da ist es passiert, das sind die Leute, das sind die Namen, hier haben sie gewohnt, das hat ihnen gehört, so hat ihr Auto ausgesehen, ja, das war ihr Buch, hier steht ihr Name drin.
Rudder, Gratulation. Ein Obermayer Award geht an Sie und Ihre wunderbare Arbeit.
So we met 5 years ago already, and I had the privilege to get to know your wonderful work and also to meet some of the family members that you saw in the movie, people from all over the world at a conference on provenance research. I learned at that conference that the Nazis looted about 600,000 pieces of art. Only a fraction of them have been recovered, and only fewer, about 40,000, and only a few of them have been restituted. But as you said, not every Jewish family had a Nolde or a Liebermann or a Klimt. That was rather an exception. But there were lots of other things that these people possessed. Where are they? You are looking for those things, for those objects, and we can ask ourselves, what is the benefit of a museum when somebody like you comes along and says, well, I want to go into more depth depth. So the museum benefits insofar as you don't want to have things in a museum that don't belong there, that were purchased illegally and that do not belong there, and the objects, the history of which you want to look into, that you want to research. And then, as you were able to see in the movie, the museum benefits if the descendants are found and a contact is established. And this holds true for museums, but also for other institutions. And I think that is probably even more important. And all this is linked to that. And that is what we saw in all those movies, the direct contact with the people, that people come to Germany, that through an object, through a piece of art, you find something that you have in common, that you see the nexus. And that is what is so essential. And what is your motivation to do this work? So I'm a historian, so that is my job. I deal with the past, and for me, I think the most important thing is that it's not only during the Nazi era that a lot of crimes were committed, horrific crimes, but also afterwards. So even afterwards, lots of things went wrong. People behaved in a horrific way with regard to survivors, descendants, with regard to descendants of those who were murdered or deported, and who for decades tried to get some kind of compensation that was for objects that were stolen from them. And now it's, I think, very late. And so not only me, but all provenance researchers in Germany and in other European countries are now trying, much too late, but we are now trying to remedy some of those things that went wrong in the past, that were done wrongly, or that intentionally were done wrongly. So you cannot make amends for that. You cannot give compensations for that, but you can rectify such a situation, at least to some extent. So you've said a little bit. So how much would you say remains to be done? Well, you mentioned the figures. It is very difficult to really know the figures. And when we talk about books, it's about thousands, hundreds, thousands of books that were looted. And there's much remains to be done. And I can only appeal and call upon you to look very closely at what you have at home. Do not trust any old painting that you have on your wall, or do not trust any case. So I'm not saying that you should go home and look behind your cupboards and chests, but my colleagues and I are sometimes contacted by people who say, well, I have an aunt and she had something, and it's always said that this was from a Jewish family, and I think it's always very impressive, and there are people here who've done that, so I think it's very impressive. People, private people, take action and try to find out something and maybe restitute something, and I would be very happy if more people did that. Well, I'm standing here on my own, which is a little weird, so Becky Kuava was also in the movie, she's triggered that, she started that. Without her, I wouldn't have been here. Unfortunately, she has fallen ill with COVID, and she's in the hotel and can't be here with us, but she's watching us, I think, via the live stream. So, Anneke de Rudder, thank you very much for your tireless work. And now you'll get the document. And I would like to ask everybody again to join us here. So congratulations on the Obermayer Award 2024, awarded to Anneke de Rudder. While she's basically standing in, accepting this, representing all provenance researchers everywhere in the world.
Herzlichen Dank. Gratulation.
Thank you very much. Congratulations.
Nur noch eine, ne? Zwei. Margit Sachse.
So Margit Sachse from Roßdorf in the federal state of Hessen. She's a history teacher and a biographer, and for more than 10 years, she has won over young people, students, for her history projects. She makes use of innovative media presentation media technologies in Darmstadt, and so that she makes sure that local history becomes part of school education. And we'll see in the little movie the range of her work and her.
Ja, hallo, ich bin Margit Sachse. Ich bin Lehrerin hier an der Lichtenberg-Schule in Darmstadt. Nicht ganz ohne Grund bin ich hier an der Europaschule gelandet. Ich habe auch in Frankreich studieren können, weil die Kölner Uni jubiliert ist mit Clermont-Ferrand. Und ich großartige Professoren hatte, Wolfgang Schieder, der sagte, man darf nicht nur bei der deutschen Geschichte bleiben, man muss immer den Vergleich anstellen. Auch in der Literatur gibt es ja auch die vergleichende Literaturwissenschaft, Literatur comparée. Also ich konnte gar nicht anders denken als so.
Avec Margit Sachse, depuis 2020, on a déjà travaillé ensemble à énormément de projets franco-allemands, parce que Margit Sachse est une personne très dynamique qui sait mettre en place énormément de choses chaque année. Et donc on a travaillé à plusieurs échanges franco-allemands sur le thème de la mémoire, et elle a développé ce projet qui s'appelle donc Schüler gegen Vergessen für Demokratie, dans lequel les jeunes sont très engagés sur des années et suivent ce projet. On a l'impression de créer aussi des citoyens européens grâce à ces projets.
Genau, das fing mit einer AG an, Schüler gegen Vergessen für Demokratie, kurz SGVFD. Frau Margit Sachse hat es an der Schule immer geleitet, und das war dann einmal ein wöchentliches Treffen oder so, und man hat dann halt besprochen und dann halt Sachen auch erarbeitet und so, und das hat sich halt weiterentwickelt. Ikira ist dabei geblieben, ich bin dabei geblieben, viele andere sind auch dabei geblieben, eben über unsere Schulzeit hinaus und machen das ehrenamtlich weiter und möglichst halt eben andere Leute auf dieses Thema aufmerksam zu machen und die Erinnerung am Leben zu halten.
Man muss viel darüber wissen, und es braucht Aufklärung, damit die Fehler nicht wieder wiederholt werden. Wir müssen den Kontakt haben zu den Besten, zu den Experten, zu den Nachfahren, zu den Überlebenden, dass sie wirklich aus erster Hand sich selber eine Meinung dazu bilden können, dass sie Informationen bekommen und dann auch eine Haltung entwickeln, und um dann selber auch damit in die Öffentlichkeit zu treten.
Man ist live dabei, wie man was verändert in der Welt. Und das ist so das Ziel, dass ich habe, was Gutes, nicht nur was Gutes zu machen, sondern die Welt auch so ein bisschen zu bewegen oder ein bisschen zu verändern. Und dann waren ein paar Kollegen von mir jetzt auch in Frankreich, und ich habe mitgekriegt, was sie da alles machen konnten. Oder jetzt hier haben wir das Feedback wieder von den Menschen bekommen, die uns Respekt zollen. Und mich macht es dann glücklich, wenn wir das positive Feedback bekommen und sehen, dass unsere Arbeit Früchte trägt.
Das ist dann etwas, wo ich die Schüler sehr stark frage, wie möchtet ihr das auch in die Welt tragen? So ein Schüler hat dann eine Webseite entwickelt, oder jetzt 2018 bis 2021 haben wir die Web-App entwickelt. Was ist gerade wichtig, um das Thema zu vermitteln? Und so hat sich das nach und nach entwickelt.
Ja, also die Web-App oder die App Footprints for Freedom hat praktisch auch dafür gesorgt, dass wir unsere Ergebnisse nicht nur für uns in der Gruppe zusammentragen konnten, sondern auch wirklich festhalten und an andere weiterverbreiten. Wir arbeiten auch europäisch, international mit anderen Gruppen zusammen. Und ich denke, das ist auch etwas, was das Ganze auszeichnet, dass wir nicht nur einen deutschen Blick, sage ich mal, haben.
Und dann habe ich gelernt, das ist offensichtlich wichtig, was manchmal vergessen wird, dass wir nicht nur über jüdisches Leben reden, sondern mit den jüdischen Menschen darüber, was sie sich wünschen. Und da war natürlich Robert Liebenthal ein großartiger Gesprächspartner, der gekommen ist, hat sich Zeit genommen und hat sich fast eine Woche lang die Arbeit hier angeschaut, im Archiv, im Museum und in der Schule.
But the effort to try and make contemporary students aware of what happened in Nazi Germany is, I think, very important. I think these attempts to reach out and make people aware of what happened related to what's happening currently, all that is extremely important.
Dass wir eben Schüler und Studierende haben, die auch sensibel sind und die uns auch sagen, wenn in den sozialen Netzen eben der Antisemitismus überhand nimmt und so. Also darum ging es eigentlich, sensibilisieren auch für Entwicklungen, für Hass. Und das haben viele gelernt, also viele, die dabei geblieben sind, dann auch Anzeigen zu erstatten oder sowas. Also die sind aktiv und nicht passiv, nicht Konsumenten.
Margit Sachs arrive justement à mobiliser les jeunes pour qu'ils s'engagent sur des événements, des Gedenktage, des actions. Donc c'est pas seulement un travail qui est fait au sein d'un lycée où les élèves s'impliquent dans un projet ponctuel, mais c'est quelque chose, je suis la Gegenvergessen für Demokratie, comme le nom l'indique, qui se passe pour un engagement pour la démocratie aujourd'hui. Donc ça va au-delà d'un projet scolaire.
Was ich gelernt habe, ist, dass man niemals fragen sollte oder niemals annehmen sollte, was hat das mit mir zu tun. Ich bin kein Nazi, also ist das kein Thema mehr für mich. So nein, wir müssen aktiv darauf schaffen, dass auch nicht weitere Generationen Nazis werden oder eben nicht weitere Leute antisemitisch sind. Sie hat mir also gezeigt, dass wenn man etwas verhindern möchte, man immer nachhaltig und jetzt damit anfangen soll und eben nicht dann, wenn man meint, etwas beginnt. Also proaktive, also die beste politische Arbeit ist proaktiv und nicht reaktiv. Und das ist so das, was wir eben über diese ganze Schulzeit und auch jetzt immer wieder machen. Wir arbeiten proaktiv.
Margit Sachse, Gratulation! Ich habe mich gefragt, was es mit den VR-Brillen auf sich hat. Das ist die Darmstädter Synagoge,
what you were able to see through this VR glasses, it's the synagogue in Darmstadt, which now rose to life virtually. Yeah, we are cooperating with the Technical University of Darmstadt. Dr. Margarella reacted after the desecration of the synagogue, and he said that Dr. Margit Grellert, he built up the Architectura Virtualis, and they reconstructed a lot of synagogues, and it's a Jugendstil synagogue, Art Nouveau synagogue, and we had an Orthodox and a liberal synagogue in Darmstadt, close to each other. They were both destroyed in the night of broken glasses, and there's nothing left of the Orthodox synagogue, only a plaque of commemoration, and therefore the Jewish Congress helps us to erect a tent there. Then the glasses, the virtual reality glasses, are offered there, and people are impressed. Nobody had ever imagined the beauty of a Jugendstil synagogue. We saw that in Augsburg, in Rome, and it was important to travel to those places where such synagogues of this era are still there. And then we asked ourselves, what is the link between us? I think that's very obvious. Everybody who sees what was destroyed here, what a shame that is, and that it is so important that nothing like that happens again. You mentioned a number of buzzwords. You said that looking towards other countries, looking towards other initiatives. How do you find partners in other countries? Well, that is something that's wonderful. Sometimes it's only just by coincidence when I have a wrong suitcase with me and then talk to the Consul General. So there was an award ceremony in Bellevue Castle Palace here in Berlin, and we talked about what the urgent issues are for us, also to France. For example, there's this family, Liebenthal Juda, spread across different continents. So we try to get into contact and to schools. There are not that many students who speak French well enough to deal with such topics, and then we needed somebody who opened the doors for us, and that was the Consul General, and it was her, and she opened the doors to a school in Nouvelle-Aquitaine. There's a school there, and Chateau Lorient, it's a European place of resistance, European place of commemoration, and it's a place where the schools from the Abi Bakr classes get together. And now some of them are now university students. And if you have a lot of university students doing German and French, then everything is very quickly, translation is done quickly. And through Julia Schramm, I am contacted to a wonderful school in Athens. So dealing with those, so she's a Jewish artist, and Hilde Schramm, and she deals with the Jewish heritage there and the villages of martyrs. And that is what is so wonderful when you travel with young people, if they can exchange at a European level. We didn't know that the history teachers in Greece don't have time to teach anything about the First and the Second World War, but there are wonderful German teachers in Greece who, during such youth exchange programs, are willing to deal with such topics. So European culture of remembrance, that is what you also tell about when you do your project. So congratulations.
Eine Urkunde und die Blumen.
Of course, there are many people involved in this project, and I would, yes, you're right, and Dr. Heike Hoffmann-Noack,
Richter und Miriam Sachse, und einige haben wir auch tatsächlich schon in dem Film gesehen.
We saw some of them already in the movie, so please join us here on the stage so that you will be on the photograph as well. So congratulations.
So, das müssen wir jetzt noch mal ein bisschen ruckeln, genau, für die...
So I think we have to rearrange the people here on the stage a little bit so that everybody gets on the picture.
Wunderbar, herzlichen Dank, Gratulation.
So, well, thank you very much. Congratulations.
Willkommen zur nächsten Preisträgerin.
So we will now come to the next prize winner, and Joel Obermayer said it, Widen, the circle is much more, so it's wider than just the area of anti-Semitism and fighting anti-Semitism. So it's about targeted group-specific anti-Semitism and so I'm delighted that this year an Obermayer Award goes to Katharina Oguntoye. She's a historian, a pedagogue and writer. Since the 1980s, she's made a significant contribution to the formation of an awareness of Afro-Germanism, because society did not recognize the identity for many years. She will receive a Distinguished Service Award for shaping the formation of Afro-German culture. So please enjoy the film to get an impression.
Mein Name ist Katharina Oguntoye. Ich bin Historikerin, bin in Deutschland aufgewachsen, habe dann hier Geschichte studiert, habe mich hier in der Frauenbewegung engagiert, und dann kam sozusagen die Anregung von Audre Lorde, das Buch Farbe bekennt zu machen, das erste Buch zu afrodeutschen Menschen, schwarzen Deutschen, und dadurch hat nochmal ein ganz neues Thema für mich sich eröffnet, nämlich das Thema Rassismus zu bearbeiten und als Historikerin eben auch das Thema Schwarze in der Geschichte in Deutschland immer wieder hervorzuheben.
Katharina has been involved in really unearthing the longer history of a black presence in Germany for many decades. She was involved in really one of the key pivotal publications. That's a book called Farbe bekennen. This is a book that really, from the first moment, black activists, black women were stepping out into the open and claiming a space, asking for rights, asking for their history to be made known, made visible.
Und auf dem Titelfoto von Farbe bekennen, das sind ja die beiden älteren Schwestern, die sozusagen in der Weimarer Republik geboren waren. Und das ist einfach gar nicht hoch genug einzuschätzen, wie wichtig diese Erzählung der beiden waren. Also dass Erika und Doris Dieck, also geborene Dieck, bereit waren, über ihr Leben und ihre Geschichte zu sprechen, das hat uns plötzlich von einem Tag auf den anderen die Geschichte eröffnet. Wir hatten vorher, wusste man, wie haben Schwarze im Nationalsozialismus überlebt? Haben sie überleben können? Wir hatten keine Ahnung, weil darüber gab es weder Forschung noch Berichte, nichts. Ja, und das heißt, diese waren die ersten Zeitzeugen, die gesprochen haben.
Katharina unearthed was this longer history that had been effectively ignored for decades. There was for a long time, I would say, a misconception that the black presence in Germany started in 1945 with the arrival of African American troops in the West as part of the Second World War. And then in East Germany starts with the arrival of people from Mozambique and Angola as contract workers in the 1970s. So I think this was pivotal in really challenging many people's conceptions of what is German history, who are Germans, how has an idea of a German identity been constructed, and why do people not know about this longer history of black people in Germany?
Man muss wissen, dass in der Zeit gab es die Begrifflichkeiten schwarze Deutsche und Afrodeutsche überhaupt noch nicht. Also wir haben in dem Buch im Vorwort dann definiert, was wir unter Afrodeutsche verstehen. Und warum hatten wir eigentlich das Bedürfnis nach diesen Begrifflichkeiten? Weil es eigentlich für uns nur negative und stereotype Begriffe gab.
Katharina ist auf jeden Fall eine Wegbereiterin und die Folgen, für die ist es einfacher. Wie mit dem Begriff Afrodeutsch, den benutzen wir jetzt. Sie hat uns auf jeden Fall viele Sachen erleichtert, um einfach als afrodeutsche Person in der Gesellschaft zu sein und auch mit der Perspektive, was kann ich erreichen?
I would think Katharina's most important accomplishment is Jolly Ba, partly because she's done it for 25 years and she's just affected so many generations.
Jolly Ba ist für mich vor allen Dingen zu Hause. Also weil ich sehr, sehr viel Zeit in meiner Kindheit hier verbracht habe. Viel meiner Politisierung ist hier passiert, von zu Hause natürlich auch, aber es war nochmal anders, es in einem afrodeutschen Rahmen zu haben. Das heißt, genau, mein Afrodeutschsein hat sich hier auch entwickelt und wurde geprägt. Und diese Selbstverständlichkeit auch einfach, als afrodeutsche Person schwarze Vorbilder zu haben, Zugang zu schwarzer Literatur zu haben, Zugang zu schwarzer Geschichte zu haben oder auch zu wissen, wo man es findet. Und auch so dieses nicht sich alleine zu fühlen, also schon von klein auf. Ich glaube, das ist auch mit so das Empowerndste von allem gewesen. Sich nicht alleine zu fühlen, nicht die Einzige zu sein und daraus dann immer mehr ziehen zu können, weil es immer wieder einen Safe Space gab.
Also eine Familienhilfe für schwarze Menschen aufzubauen, ist vielleicht haben da schon andere Leute dran gedacht, ne? Aber es ist natürlich eine Riesenarbeit, sowas zu machen und das umzusetzen. Und das ist total schön, dass es sowas gibt und dass es diese Räume dort gibt, wo Menschen afrodeutscher Herkunft hinkommen können.
One very unique thing about Katharina's work, and I'll stress this, is it's always positive. Like, she did not focus on discrimination. Everyone assumes, that's all you talk about is racism. No, it was always about what can we do in the world? What can we achieve? And I think that positive example was what she gave young people, that I can do something too. I can take on the world.
I think Katharina's work plays a central role here. Not just with showing our colours, in which she and Mayim try to unearth this longer presence and to make it visible. But I do think more so in an Afrodeutsche Geschichte, which has also recently been reprinted for the first time in several decades as Schwarze Wurzeln. Because through showing these stories, she is helping to create a memory, to bring back to life this longer history. And without that foundational work that she had carried out, I don't think that you would have people like myself being able to try and take the history further. I don't think you would have many of the memorialization projects that take place before and at present, I think you see Katharina's fingerprints on all these exciting things that are happening, and this larger recognition, not just amongst academics, but also I think within communities, that there is a Black German history that should be celebrated.
Katharina Oguntoye.
Katharina Oguntoye, congratulations. One of the 2024 Obermayer Awards goes to you and your life work.
Gratulation.
Congratulations once again. Katharina Oguntoye, if you look at current events, would you say that through the raised awareness of post-colonialism, people are now more sensitized, or what have you observed over the past years? Well, yes, it's fantastic that this kind of awareness has come about, but it struck me how long this will take. You just saw in the film how young we were when we published the book Farbebekenning, or Showing Your True Colors. And of course, the possibilities have changed. We have the terminology has changed, but this has taken a long time, 25 years, until I no longer heard the old words. People, of course, asked at the beginning, why do you need an association like Jolly Bar? And 25 years later, what we heard were, you are still around, really? So people implied they will not stick around. They will not be able to survive. So only in 2013, I think, that was the year when we saw the exhibition Destroyed Diversity in a Memory of the Holocaust. This was the first time that a German official, a permanent secretary, said, well, wow, this is something we weren't quite aware of. And this is something that I remember because it constituted sort of a turning point, because bit by bit an awareness came about, and with the sad event back then with George Floyd, the global awareness with Black Lives Matter, of course, the awareness globally, not just in Germany, in South America and in other parts of the world where this awareness wasn't really there, it came about. And this was quite surprising. Yesterday, I talked to Carlos Hill, who nominated me. He's a historian. I'm so glad about my group, because many of them are historian. Your mother was historian as well. Because people often say, history, who needs history? But today, at least, people will understand what history really is good for. You also have a theatre background. And I think today we've seen how vibrant and alive history can really be. And I think history can also be a tool in telling stories and teaching something, teaching people something. And I think ever since Black Lives Matter came into being, the topic was certainly in everybody in the public attention. And of course, this also led to the fact that I am earning the recognition that me and many, many other people have done. I would like to, the family Ngolo, Savannah, are you here? Could you stand up, please? And then please, everybody, give a round of applause for Jolly Bar, my association. Katharina Oguntoye, let me ask you, please, I forgot to say one thing. Lucas and Alina, could you please also rise? Could you stand up, Lucas and Alina? they are my descendants, so to speak, and without them, without those two, Jolly Bar would be dead. When I became ill 4 years ago, I would have had to close down shop. It would have been all right, these things happen, but this is much more wonderful to be able to hand over my work to the next generation, for them to continue my work. So I leave it in their good hands. So Katharina, you said at the onset how long it takes, and I think it became clear in the film as well. You always stay positive. Where do you get the strength? Especially when things get tough. I think it's a question of character. I think I was born like this in a way, with a positive attitude. And what's really important is that you can't be really shaken to the core by it. It doesn't destroy you. That's important. Especially when you look at young people, you need support amongst your family, amongst your friends. You need to be sure that you have this kind of support, then you can go through everything in life. And I think this was the case with me as well. I had a very supportive family. They made me very strong as a person and helped me rise to the challenges that I met. My colleague, for instance, she didn't survive it. People do die from daily racism they face. It does kill people. It must not be underestimated. Many of the survivors here are strong, they are affirmative of life, but racism can kill. It does, and I think we've seen this in many of the films. Katharina Oguntoye, thank you so much for your commitment. Congratulations once again, and now you will receive your certificate. Joel, Sarah, Kai Wegner, Cornelia Seibeld, please join me on stage.
So, und jetzt gibt's das erste Foto.
So the first picture now. I'm moving away. Wouldn't want to be in the picture.
Vielen Dank. Gratulation, Katharina Oguntoye.
Thank you very much indeed. And thank you, Sara Nachama, Cornelia Seibeld, Kai Wegner, Joel Obermayer. Thank you.
Ja, Sie können sich jetzt ganz entspannt nochmal.
You can now lean back and enjoy the rest of the evening. Ladies and gentlemen, you too, because the 2024 Obermayer Awards have now been presented. All of them, once again, I'd like to extend my thanks and congratulate all of the awardees. Thank you for your commitment, for your active engagement, and of course thanks to the jury, the family, the Obermayer family, and the Berlin House of Representatives and its speaker, Cornelia Seibeld. This evening is also about getting to know one another, talking to each other. Of course, you can reach out to the awardees and learn all about their projects and what you can do to get involved. We'd love for you to stay for a bit and enjoy the evening. Last but not least, I'd like to thank the governing mayor of Berlin, Kai Wegner. Thank you for being our host tonight. Thanks to everybody back at home as well, who's born with us online. It was a pleasure to have you. Kai Wegner now has the floor one last time. Ladies and gentlemen, there's barely anything left to say for me after such a wonderful event. I'd like to take the opportunity to thank all of the awardees. Wonderful projects indeed. And I have one appeal I'd like to make to you, but also to former awardees. First of all, but I'm sure you do this anyways, but I'd still like to say it. First of all, continue to do what you do. To continue these wonderful, marvelous projects, carry them into the world, enthuse young people, and then an appeal to all of us. When we leave the Red Town later on, let us talk about this award presentation. Let us talk about the wonderful people we met today who act as role models, who serve as an example that you can make a difference with this kind of active engagement for cohesion in our society, for our togetherness, for the social fabric in our society. And if we manage to do this, we can all serve as ambassadors for our democracy with these wonderful role models we've met tonight. And the fact that this event, first of all, the fact that the event is not just important for the Speaker of the House of Representatives, who always comes first, and the governing mayor, was made very clear today by the fact that we have with us tonight colleagues from the Berlin House of Representatives, from our parliament, and I'd like to welcome them. I'm very pleased to have so many parliamentarians, MPs with us, because this really makes it clear how important this topic really is. Because tonight we stand together as parliamentarians for this important cause. From almost all of the parliamentary groups. I'm also delighted to be able to welcome members of the Bundestag and MEPs, so members of the European Parliament. And I'm delighted to have my permanent secretary with me as well, who's also done one or two things to make this event possible. Florian Hauer, I'm delighted you're here with us as well. But now, please excuse me, the most important words of thanks will now go to the Obermayer family for doing what they do for so many years now. Thank you very much indeed, and I think this goes without saying. My wish is that you continue your efforts and your work. I'd also like to give thanks to the jury. Thank you very much. You've chosen lovely, wonderful, marvelous projects, so thank you for that. And I'd also like to express my gratitude, and I think she did a wonderful job, our moderator, Shelly Kupferberg. Thank you for doing such a wonderful job tonight. And then another thing I'd like to say, I just talked to the Speaker of the House of Representatives. On behalf of Cornelia Seibeld, I'd like to thank all of the staff members of the Berlin House of Representatives who've made sure that this event can take place as it did today, but also, of course, the staff of the Red Town Hall. The good thing is I've been governing mayor for 9 months now, and if I enter this room, I can be sure that the event I'm attending works and is a success, because my staff just does a wonderful job every time. And Talking about staff, I'd like to mention the two interpreters. They are interpreting the event. Thank you very much indeed for doing this. Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've already said what this evening was all about. Social cohesion, our democracy, mutual understanding, an active culture of remembrance, which is pivotal. And especially in these trying times, that what stands out to me is what I said at the beginning. Never again is now. And never again is just not now. It's also in the future. This is our obligation, our mission. Thank you for being here tonight at the Red Town Hall, and let's enjoy the rest of the evening together. Thank you very much indeed.
Wir machen jetzt noch ein Foto mit allen Teilnehmenden, sozusagen
die awardees, all of the participants.